Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I have a good one for you today, so let's get into it. Julia Banks is being questioned regarding the murder of her ex-boyfriend Michael, who was known to be psychotic. Julia insists that she has been framed, even though social media conversations reveal that she had strong feelings for Michael. 6 months prior, Julia received a farewell from her boss and friend, Ali, as she left her position as chief online editor for a storytelling website. Julia plans to work remotely from the mansion she will share with her fiancé, David Conover, and her soon-to-be stepdaughter, Lily. Upon arriving at David's house, Julia is met by his ex-wife, Tessa, who is struggling to cope with the end of their marriage, which concluded 2 years earlier. The next evening, Tessa arrives at the house to drop off a package. Lily, eager to be a good host, insists that Tessa stay for dinner. Although Tessa reluctantly agrees, she quickly criticizes Julia's cooking, making snide remarks about the meal. The tension in the room rises as Julia's hopes for compliments fade. Sensing the awkwardness, Lily attempts to lighten the mood, but Tessa excuses herself, leaving Julia feeling defeated. Later, as Julia sorts through some legal papers, she discovers that her restraining order against Michael has expired, causing a wave of panic. Realizing she now faces the possibility of him re-entering her life, she feels a heavy weight settle on her shoulders. Tessa is visited by her controlling and belittling mother, Lovey. While investigating Julia online, Tessa discovers that Julia has a restraining order against Michael. In an attempt to manipulate the situation, Tessa creates a Facebook account impersonating Julia and messages Michael, telling him how much Julia misses him. Tessa then surprises Julia with an anonymous flower delivery, making it appear as though Julia is having an affair. While Julia is at the door receiving the flowers, Tessa sneaks into her home and steals David's watch, his grandmother's wedding ring, and a pair of Julia's underwear. That afternoon, while Julia and her daughter Lily are visiting David at a farmer's market, Lily wanders off. Julia finds her in Tessa's arms. Tessa is complaining to David about Julia's incompetence as a mother. When Tessa shows up at Julia's house later, Julia confronts her about trying to reinsert herself into David's life. In an effort to reconcile, the two women have lunch together. During the meal, Tessa claims that David left her because he suspected she was having an affair. After their meeting, Tessa mails Michael the stolen watch and underwear. Tessa tries to get Lily to ride an unruly horse at her horseback riding practice, but Julia notices Lily's fear and takes her home, to Tessa's annoyance. That night, Tessa pleasures herself in her car while sending explicit messages, posing as Julia, to Michael. Tessa cuts Lily's long hair short as punishment for leaving riding practice early, which leads to a heated argument with Julia. In an act of manipulation, Tessa throws herself down the stairs and pretends that Julia accidentally pushed her. When David arrives, he takes Tessa to the hospital and chastises Julia for how she treated his ex-wife. In response, Julia calls Ali for assistance, and together they uncover Tessa's child services records. They find out that as a teenager, Tessa attempted to kill her father when he cheated on her mother. Tessa messages Michael as Julia, saying she wants him to visit for. Michael enters the house when Julia is alone, and when she spurns his advances, he attacks her. A badly beaten Julia stabs him in the leg with a kitchen knife and escapes the house. Tessa, waiting outside, enters and stabs Michael in the chest. In the present moment, the police release Julia, stating that the investigation into Michael's death will continue. Initially, David is supportive. After a tearful Julia shares her complicated history with Michael, revealing her deep emotions. However, when the police show him what they claim to be incriminating evidence against her, doubt creeps in, and he becomes disillusioned. Seeking clarity, he heads to Tessa's house to pick up his daughter, Lily. There, he notices burned gloves in the fireplace, raising suspicion, and sees his grandmother's wedding ring on Tessa's finger. At that moment, the realization hits him. Tessa has framed Julia, manipulating events to suit her narrative. David is left feeling betrayed and determined to protect Julia and expose Tessa's deceit. Tessa knocks David out with a fireplace poker. Julia arrives and tries to call 911, but is attacked by Tessa. Subduing Tessa, Julia rushes to revive David, but Tessa attacks her with a knife. Seeing herself in a mirror, Tessa realizes the monster she has become and stabs herself in the stomach. Dying, Tessa begs Julia to not let Lily remember her like this. 6 months after their wedding, David and Julia have settled into their new home with their daughter, Lily. One sunny afternoon, as Julia arranges flowers, the doorbell rings. She opens the door to find her mother, Lovey, eager to see her granddaughter. Julia's heart races with unease as she watches Lovey pull Lily into a warm embrace. A mix of horror and protectiveness washes over her, signaling the tension in their complicated relationship. As Lovey smiles at Lily, Julia's instincts caution her about the potential risks lurking beneath the surface.